Good morning. I I'm recording this before my children wake up. My husband's awake. He's going to mass soon, and the sun is just kind of peeking over the houses across the street from my house. I don't have any makeup. I can't find my makeup bag, so don't judge my face right now. I can't. I don't know where it is. I only have one little bag of makeup that I keep, and somebody took it. I don't know. One of my kids, I think, is like hiding it in a closet, playing with my makeup probably. But I wanted to put a really quick video out there, and I'm sorry I haven't been posting lately. I haven't been feeling very well, and I thought maybe I was just kind of being a wimp, but I think like I legitimately needed to kind of take a little break. My back was hurting a bit, and my sternum. And I just kind of needed to take a couple days off. My kids had just started school this week, and so it's just kind of crazy around here. But I wanted to get a really fast little video out because last week we read the Gospel of Matthew, verse 19. This is one of the daily Gospel readings, and it was it's the part of the Gospels when Jesus is confronted by the Pharisees about divorce, and they were asking him about the rules, the laws of divorce. And Jesus says that a married couple cannot be, they cannot be split up, that when they're married for life. And that's, and the Pharisees push back and they say, well, why did Moses allow divorce if that's true? And Jesus says, because, he allowed it because of the hardness of your hearts. And I was thinking about this because aren't we still hardening our hearts? Like, aren't people still capable of hardening their hearts? And why now does Jesus say that you can't dissolve a marriage? Like, what has changed? Because certainly people are still getting divorced, right? Like, Jesus didn't magically make everybody's hearts soften, because of course that's an intentional act. And he's not going to force anybody. He doesn't force his grace on anybody. He doesn't, he needs your consent to change you. And I was thinking about this from the perspective of a Christian marriage and what that ultimately looks like, because I think there's a lot of discord right now about marriage. There's a lot of opinions and a lot of fighting about marriage in general. Like, people, it's a politically hot topic, and there's a lot of very angry people out there that have had bad experiences in marriage. And I don't really consider myself anybody who's a real expert in this. I mean, I am married. I'm happily married. I don't think I've been like a perfect wife or anything like that. I mean, I've definitely had my moments of being a very difficult person to live with, and my husband isn't perfect either. And he's wonderful, but he's not perfect. He's a person, right? And I think ultimately what actually drives people apart, though, is the hardening of their hearts, which is easy to say. Like, it's one of those things that's like, well, obviously, duh, Jenny, like, but really, it's the hardening of their hearts, which is easy to say, but very difficult to prevent. It's very difficult to actually constantly soften your heart. And in a marriage, it takes two people. There's two people involved that have to soften both of their hearts and open their hearts to one another. But in the end, that is what causes divorce, is a hardening of the heart toward your spouse. And it kind of doesn't matter what is happening. I mean, even something like alcoholism or adultery or any of that ultimately is a hardening of the heart, because your partner is choosing to soften their heart to something else. They're choosing to soften it to alcohol or they're choosing to soften it to another person. And certainly abuse would be like the ultimate hardening of the heart, right? Like when you're actually not just closed off, but also aggressive and cruel. And so I think no matter what happens in a marriage, if both partners are constantly asking themselves, am I softening to this person? Am I soft to them? Am I softening my heart? Am I willing to open this up again? Am I willing to be vulnerable? Am I willing to be there? That's what it takes. That's what it takes. And, you know, in today's culture, there's no laws or anything that keep our marriages together. Sorry, my alarm just went off. I'm kind of annoyed by that. I forgot to turn it off. I put it on. Never mind. Anyway, but that's the only thing we should be asking ourselves. If we're in a marriage with somebody that wants to work on our marriage, you know, if you're in a marriage with somebody who is willing to soften their heart, are you willing to soften your heart? And how often are you seeking to kind of club your partner over the head with all of the reasons why you're right in an argument, instead of softening and saying, I feel like I'm right, but I love you more than being right. And I want to be happy more than I want to be right. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, I mean, I would ponder this, because I think, you know, Jesus says these things that are they seem so simple, but they're so hard to implement. They're so difficult to implement in real life. And so that's what I leave you with today. I'm going to try to make a couple more videos. There's some other really interesting gospel readings and some spiritual reading that I'd like to discuss later, if I can find the time. So anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and keep those hearts softened. Okay.